very own, and they're still going strong with Lost in Love, the great sounds of Bay FM. We're talking with Madonna Guy, Bay Health, and fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
I was asking you off air, and you've got to tell everyone this, off air, I simply asked you the question, how many people would have it? Is it common?
Yeah. In Australia in 2011, and we're 7 years later than that now, it was 1 in 20 people. But you know how stress has got so much worse in the last few years? Stress is massive. Yeah.
Yep.
So when we have any good naturopath will sort of end up looking at everyone's mineral levels in the body. Like that will be one of the things, because everything in your body is made up of minerals. You know, your skin, your hair, your bones, your ligaments, your tendons, your muscles. So therefore, if your mineral levels are low, you're going to end up with weakness and in some area. So you can imagine then, if you've got deficiencies like that, taking a painkiller isn't really going to do the trick long term.
Well, so a woman going through menopause, would she be more susceptible?
Yeah, absolutely. Because menopause is inflammatory. So by the time we don't have those natural estrogens whizzing through the body being happy and healthy, absolutely, we do become more inflammatory. And cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is the only hormone that consistently for most people goes up as we get older. So most of us end up with higher cortisol levels, and cortisol's linked in with shrinking the brain. It eats our muscle mass away.
My brain wouldn't shrink much more.
It's just not a great hormone, the good old cortisol. And once again, sort of it tends to be natural things like GABA and magnesium and potassium that help to calm down cortisol levels. And then there's herbs like Siberian ginseng, Korean ginseng, withania, ginkgo that really support cortisol levels to be released from the body as well. Things like infrared sauna and sweating and ocean swimming, they all help to get cortisol out of the system as well.
There's a lot to be said for Chinese medicine, isn't there?
There really is, yeah. So
once it was spurned and we wouldn't acknowledge it, but now, and we go to the simplistic view of acupuncture.
Yeah, exactly.
How popular that is now.
Oh, and acupuncture is about moving energy through the body. So if you feel stagnant, if your muscles feel achy, if your joints aren't working, acupuncture is the sort of thing that really helps to move energy through your body. So everyone knows a good acupuncturist is worth their weight in gold, really. Because once they understand the body and how everything kicks in, then it's about them working with your body to find out what the underlying cause is. That's what they're trying to do. So you might come in with fibromyalgia, but it might be because of it might be the liver toxicity in one person, it might be gut dysfunction in another person. So with fibro, for example, they found that 80% of people with fibromyalgia have got SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So you can imagine if you're not doing anything for your gut, because don't forget, we're only 10% human, 90% of the cells in our body are bugs. So basically, if you don't have more good guys than bad guys, you're going to be out of balance. And, you know, all of these, I'm not a big fan of all these sprays and things, 99.9% germ-free, because it messes with our brains.
Well, I've heard that. I've heard we're over the top when it comes to cleansing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wipes everywhere. Wipe your bench down, sterilise it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah, it is. And
let your kids get outside and play in the dirt and the soil.
Exactly, because that really changes the microbiome. So the microbiome is what we get from our mother. It's to do with the width and breadth and variety of the gut bugs.
And could that be a reason why allergies are so high?
Absolutely.
Like children with peanut allergies, they're not getting outdoors enough and getting dirty.
It is hugely linked. And probably 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago now, there was a lady who published a study. It was a 4-year study on peanut allergies. And what they did was used a tiny amount of the peanut allergen along with a probiotic, and they gave it to the child every day for 2 years. And at the end of 4 years, most of the kids didn't have a peanut allergy still. So this was full-on peanut allergy with anaphylaxis. So I'm not saying to go and do that, but but there's absolute research that is showing very good long-term effects of getting the probiotics right in the gut, improving things like allergies, and I'm talking the worst allergies. Because it's something like 45% of kids at the age of 4 these days have a diagnosed allergy.
You know, I think I've told you that story before. My mum, bless her soul, was a very good friend of Dr. Lady Salento.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, and Diane Salento, who was, I think, just divorced from James Bond. What was his name? The real James
Sean
Bond.
Connery.
Sean Connery. She was living in a high-rise apartment in New York, near Central Square, And Dr. Lady Salento went across to visit her daughter and her new grandson. The child was sickly and had been for the best part of 6 months, maybe a year. And Lady Salento said, give me that child, took her downstairs and let the kid play in the grass and the dirt outside. And after about a couple of weeks, the child showed amazing recovery and a good health. So, don't envelope your child with sterile products. Let them get out and live life.
Well, in Japan now, they're actually growing small areas of rainforests. But, you know, they're obviously so hugely overpopulated. And they're not huge, and they're within cities, and it's so that there's greenery. And they find that just getting out there, you know, like Central Park in New York, it's phenomenal what that must do for a city of that size.
And do for your head.
Yes.
To get out and to walk on grass and see the trees. I saw, it was in an architectural magazine, World's Architect or something, but this high-rise building, I think it was somewhere in the Middle East where they really do go to the very edge of design, but they built this high-rise, and about every second level, at a jaunty angle, they'd have this massive garden with tall trees in it all the way to the very top. Looked fantastic. Looked like something from an Inca building that you would have seen in magazines. It looked fantastic, and there should be more of it, rather than just have metal, concrete and glass.
Yeah. Even there was another study done in Japan a few years ago where because the level of people, because it was all air conditioned, you know, big high rise, lots of air conditioning, no fresh air coming through windows, they actually put lemon essential oil through the air conditioning vents. And I can't remember what percentage, but the amount of sick days went down phenomenally because lemon essential oil is antibacterial and antiviral for a start. But you can imagine in the air conditioning vents, you're also building up things like moulds and dusts and that type of thing, which of course then we're breathing in.
That's right.
Messes with us.
Places where I worked, and most places are these days air conditioned, I've always thought, I wonder when the filters were last cleaned.
Yeah.
I do. That goes through my mind every day as I cast an eye to the air conditioner.
Yeah.
Hey, just changing the subject very quickly. Fish oil tablets.
Oh, yes.
Are they good for you?
Absolutely. But
do they lower cholesterol?
Depends. So, two things there. Firstly, it's the quality of the fish oil capsules.
Yep.
Pure and simple.
Well, how do you pick a good quality fish
It
oil
needs to
tablet?
say it's fully purified. So if they say they're to government regulations, that's no good. The government regulations allow quite a lot of toxicity in the fish oils.
Now, if you have an emergency surgery coming up, you're in an accident and you're on fish oil tablets.
Oh, you have to stop them. It's a blood thinner. Yeah, so fish oils are definitely a blood thinner, and no doctor or surgeon will want you on fish oils before a surgery.
Same as aspirin.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So now in fish oils there's two components, actually there's three. There's probably a lot more than that, but the ones I'm going to mention are EPA, which is anti-inflammatory, DHA, which is for the brain and eyes, and then there's triglycerides. So a lot of people come into me and they say, I've got the highest strength fish oil you can get. But quite often it might say that there's 1.5 or 2 grams of fish oils in there, but it's the active ingredients you need to look at. It's got to be purified and it's got to be active. So if you're after an anti-inflammatory effect, the EPA, you need 2 grams per day.
I wonder if I should be on them.
So they're good for everyone, good for your brain.
Well, it's expanding. Hey, we'll be back in a moment to continue this.